I often say to people, your business may not be a matter of life and death. For most people, they're not actually going to have a heart attack or lose a loved one, but it is a matter of your life.
Yeah.
And when you think about the amount of time that is spent and the amount of headspace and the amount of anxiety that business owners carry around, that's not the life that people are meant to have when they're running a business. So that really is why I do what I do.
So joining me on the call today, I've got Kerry Ann Nelson from Operation Verb. Welcome to the call, Kerry.
Hello, David. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Maybe give us a snapshot of Operation Verb and what you do.
Yeah, certainly. We help small business owners to develop systems and processes so they can delegate effectively. So when they're growing their business, they don't get tied to all of the work of that growth.
Okay. So maybe give us an idea of what sort of problem a business owner would be having where they would see this as the solution to the problem.
Yes, absolutely. So themselves, they feel exhausted. They could be having sleepless nights. They're burned out. And the reason for that is because their teams are making mistakes. They're missing things. They can't find the resources they need, the files, the websites, the logins, the contacts. They can't find the things that they need. Or when they find the bits and pieces, they don't have clear instructions of how to do what they're meant to do. So this leaves the business owner there to pick up all the pieces. And that's why they end up so tired and exhausted and really anxious. It's awful to be there.
Yeah, so I got it. So really the symptoms of this is someone who's feeling like they can't really switch off ever. And they're constantly being nagged by little bushfires going on everywhere. So they're firefighting all the time.
Exactly. And then they're coming into that classic situation where they're always doing the urgent job, but not necessarily getting the important work done that they can actually grow and scale their business. So they get stuck in their business. The business becomes a trap.
Yeah, horrible.
Really awful.
So tell me, why do you do this? What got you into this sort of space?
Yeah, I did not expect to be doing this. If you told me even 10 years ago that I was going to be doing this, I would have been really surprised. So my background's in education, but at the same time, I built business with my husband, and we were married for 14 years, together for 12. And we, so I was doing teaching and then working strategically on side with him. So he was doing all the actual operations day to day, and I was doing things like approving branding and copy and website developments and that sort of thing. And so that was great. But he actually passed away in 2014 because we had a business that wasn't working efficiently. We were in that situation. We had team members that couldn't work independently. We had mistakes, and one person didn't know what the other person was doing. Communication barely existed, which is horrible for a business, even worse for a marriage. And so I ended up being in this position that we'd built all of this debt over years and years of this inefficient business that had built money but not built profit, because we'd been spending it all on staffing and stock that wasn't managed properly, time that wasn't managed properly. So when my husband passed away, I needed to clean up my own business and cleared up all that debt, ended up selling it a year and a half later for a profit, which was amazing.
Nice.
And it was from then when I realized, you know what, there are so many business owners. This is not unique. And I often say to people, your business may not be a matter of life and death. For most people, they're not actually going to have a heart attack or lose a loved one, but it is a matter of your life.
Yeah.
And when you think about the amount of time that is spent and the amount of headspace and the amount of anxiety that business owners carry around, that's not the life that people are meant to have when they're running a business. So that really is why I do what I do.
Awesome. It is interesting that you say that, because I think a lot of people, they confuse self-employment with business ownership.
Oh, goodness me, it's so true.
And because you have an ABN, you call the business by the tax department, you say, I'm in business.
Yeah.
And really what we're doing is we're employed. But the problem is we're probably our own worst enemy, because we're the boss and the employee at the same time, right?
Exactly. Michael Gerber says that if your business relies on you, you don't own a business, you own a job.
Yeah.
And it's the worst job in the world.
And I think no one likes to admit that, right? They think it's a business. They don't really understand the distinction. And so they just keep running. And what happens is 1 year turns into 3, into 5, into 10. And until something serious happens, like what happened with you, they're oblivious. They think this is just how it is.
Yes.
And then something happens and all of a sudden they go, oh my God,
Yeah.
This is not a business. This is a job.
Yeah.
And not only is it a job, all these people are depending on me doing my job to be able to do their job.
Yes.
So I can't even stop.
That's right.
Well, it's a house of cards and it caves in. And I often say to people, you might start your business that way, but staying in that situation is just perpetuating the problem and digging the hole deeper and deeper.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that business owners have this horrible tendency to wear all of that hard work like a badge of honor. It's like you're earning your stripes as a business owner. And I think one of the things that I really try to do is help people to get back to their why. Why did you do this in the first place?
Yeah.
I guarantee you no one's going to answer me, so I can work 7 days a week fixing problems and doing admin.
Yeah.
And that's what people accept over time.
Yeah. I've heard it referred to as being in busyness instead of business.
Yeah, perfect. Love that.
Yeah, I just like to keep myself busy because then I don't have to worry about, anyone questioning whether I'm busy. I'm in business, right?
Yeah.
So it is important. And I think it's unfortunate the way it's happened here, but I think the wake-up call for a lot of people is start the systemization early because it's important but not urgent. And I think people tend to, I'll do that when I've got time or when I've got money. Yeah. And the reality is you got to do it before you need it, or else you end up in this sort of chasm. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. If you start thinking about your business as an organization and all of those tasks that need to be done, they can be managed as if you are 5 people, because you're wearing 5 or 6 different hats. If you're a sole trader, you're still doing the work of those different roles. So set it up that way for sure. Yeah,
awesome. So tell me, like, you've obviously been in business for a little while. What do you consider the best piece of advice that you've received?
Oh, best piece of advice I've ever received.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very different from the question I thought you were going to ask me. Okay. Best piece of advice I've ever received would be to not expect that everything can get done in a day, but know that it will get done. So making sure that you've got to balance that overwhelm, right? So on one hand, you've got to manage your priorities. There are things that must be done every day. And so taking that on, certainly. But then remembering you isn't built in a day. So you've got to have an end game and work towards it. But it's a marathon, not a sprint. So
it's a really important distinction you make, because I think a lot of people look at business as, I've got to get everything done. I've got to get it out the door. I've got to. And you say, look, you'll never run out of things to do.
Yeah.
So you can work 24/7 and you still won't have enough time in your day.
Yeah.
So what you just described is literally, like, I refer to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, and just say, look, there's things that need to be done, and there's things that are high value tasks. And sometimes you've got to get the high value tasks above the things that need to be done, because then they take away all those problems. So interesting. Tell me a bit about, so you're obviously sort of a systemization person, but do you read books or do you follow any authors in business as well? Do you have a favorite?
Yes, my favorite book, just quoted before, is The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber. That's just a classic. I should have read it a decade before I did. And when I did, I literally cried at some of the stories, just thinking, this is what I do. This is why it's important. So that's really great. But then possibly a more recent iteration of that book is Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. Amazing book. Along that same pathway of building a business that runs like clockwork is the whole concept there. But maybe a little bit more modern than E-Myth, refers a bit more to automations and more modern tech. And he's also maybe a little bit more charismatic on the read as well. He uses lots of stories and stuff, which are really great. So they're 2 of my favorite business books for sure. Yeah,
fantastic. So just perspective, right? We're currently sort of in a very interesting economic climate. And I think there's a lot of strain and stress on the small business owner right now. What sort of advice would you give to someone who's in business right now in terms of what they need to be focused on?
Yeah, look after your people, because they are just such a valuable asset. It's a funny blend that you need to have. You need to create the roles in your position and the jobs in your position to make sure that every single person is replaceable, so that your business can keep running, because you just never know when a typhoon's going to hit, when a worldwide virus pandemic is going to hit. You never know these things, but But at the same time, you value those people for the priceless, valuable individuals that they are. And the two actually go hand in hand. If you're valuing your people, you're going to give them that really great operational support so that they know how to do a really good job, so they can be proud of themselves, so they understand why they're doing the work they're doing and contributing to something that really matters and understanding their place in that. So both work together, valuing them as individuals and creating replaceable roles actually supports your people the best. Yeah,
fantastic. Kerry-Ann, this has been awesome. It's really like the amount of energy you've got behind this, and I suppose your reason why you do this is quite compelling. And, you know, even that last piece where you just talked about, you know, often people are in business because they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
Right? They're experts in their field. And so they might be a lawyer and they say they start a legal firm. And what you've just described is the skill set of building systems and managing people, which the majority of business owners never got taught. It's not part of their curriculum. It's not part of their profession. So it's something new to them that they have to learn if they actually want to run a business as opposed to just being self-employed.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in business, you must be in a people business.
Yeah.
And even if you're running only contractors, those relationships are just, I'm just making up a new quote for myself. The relationships are like the lubrication of efficiency. If I like the person I'm working with, I'm more likely to do great work. And that goes across the board in every situation.
And we can quote you on that.
Yes. I've never said it before. You heard it first.
Yeah, awesome. Look, Kerry-Ann, there's so many nuggets in there, so much wealth of knowledge and so much enthusiasm. So, look, I really appreciate your time and your insight today. So, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thanks so much, David. It's always a pleasure. I love doing anything with you. It's always good quality work.
Oh, thanks. Cheers.
All righty. Cheers. Bye.